Hope you're ready. Hope you're great. Hope you're good. Hope you're amazing. Hope you're doing nice. You're doing nice. Hope you're doing nice. I got an interesting setup here. So I've got triggers set up all around my phone. Because it records from both sides, I'm hoping to have like this kind of 3D effect where it's coming from all around you. Pause. That's crazy. But yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see how that goes. If you enjoy that, let me know. I was thinking about this guy had written like a newsletter that he kind of writes to all his followers on X, and you're just giving advice to young men in particular. And one thing he was talking about was the importance of being useful. You know, maybe it can be a tough pill to swallow for some people, but you know, like the world treats you according to how the world treats you is according to your usefulness to society. That's just the way it is. Whether you're talking about getting married, so finding a woman, whether you're talking about getting paid, getting money, your status. It just depends on your usefulness. It can seem harsh, but it's just the way of the world, right? And I was thinking about myself and asking myself, am I quote unquote useful? Like, what do I have to offer? I was thinking about this channel and how I'm really trying to use that to build the sort of audience that likes me for me. I think that's important, right? Because I don't want to just be known as an ASM artist. I think it's so important to be unique and be yourself so that no matter what you do, people support you because they're supporting you, right? I think that's why it's so important to never get too caught up in pursuing popularity, but rather like just being my most authentic self so that I attract the right sort of audience over time, naturally. It just begs the question of what will I amount to when all is said and done? Because I'll be honest, I don't really have like a plan B when it comes to like what I'm trying to achieve for myself and trying to get to that point of financial stability and being able to take care of a family and all these sort of things. I've just kind of hedged all my bets on my creativity because that's all I've ever known. That's all I've ever been good at is my more creative pursuits, whether it's writing, whether it's art in general. And you know, when this channel started gaining some traction, I'm very happy about that because I was working a job that I wasn't really happy with. I've worked a couple jobs in the past. I've never been passionate about any of them. So I was just like asking myself, like, what's going to happen to me because I don't really do well in these environments. And I just don't know what that means because, like, obviously you have to earn money, you have to make something of yourself or else you're going to be a bum, right? I don't want to be a bum. My dad was, I don't want to call my dad a bum, but, you know, he wasn't there for us. in the ways that you need it to be. And I'm trying to avoid that. And I don't think I'd ever get married until I could be a provider, because that's also one thing that kind of influenced me growing up, is seeing how he failed in those departments, whether it's being a good husband, being a good father, all those sort of things. I'm like, I don't want to repeat that. So it's like, it's so important for me before I think about getting into a relationship. Because, you know, like when you're talking about girlfriend, boyfriend, all those sort of things, I think a lot of people are just more so having fun. But when you take it seriously, you're thinking about marriage, and it's more than just your feelings and sex, but it's actually like we're trying to build a life together. That's when you have to start being practical. Like, okay, are we compatible? Like, what do you bring to the table? All these sort of things. Can you take care of me? So from the woman's perspective, if she's thinking about me. I remember having a conversation with a girl that I was having a situation with, and she asked, when girls ask this question, you know that they're entertaining the idea of a relationship, but they're not sure. So she asked me, like, what are your plans for the future? And I was wondering, like, why is she asking this? And then I realized, oh, she's weighing her options, because she wants stability, right? So if I'm like, oh, I'm going to be an artist and all these sort of things, that doesn't sound like a plan to people. That sounds like a lot of people who don't have meaningful direction and maybe aren't serious. And I just remember being asked that question. I was like, oh, you know, I can't remember what I said. But if I was being honest, I'd be like, listen, I'll tell you straight up. My only plan is to make a living from what I'm good at doing. And I'm not really good at much else. And that's not a compelling answer. And you just I have to be honest about that. Like, most people are not gonna. It's tough to hedge your bets on that, because you're taking a huge risk. Because what if I don't become what I want to become, and then you've wasted all this time with me? So, you know, as a young woman, you have to then just say, good luck, man. I have to find someone I can fully trust. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. There's a difference between men and women. Men generally have more time when it comes to finding a partner, finding a wife than women have when it comes to finding a husband. Because as a woman, generally speaking, a big part of your value in the dating market is your ability to have children. Some people don't like to hear that, but it's the truth, man. It's the truth. This is what a lot of guys think about. And just your youth in general, I guess. A woman in her 20s, generally speaking, is more attractive than a woman in her 30s. Let me step away from this territory, because I'm not trying to go in that direction. And I know that upsets some people when they hear that, so I'll try just to steer clear of that for now, because I'm not trying to be controversial. So apologies to anyone who might have gotten offended at that. The point I'm making, though, is that women have less time on their hands. They don't have as much time to fool around. So I get it when a girl is like, sorry, I have to move on. I get it. Which is why for me it's like, I just need this period of time I'm in now is more so a period of figuring myself out. And then once I've figured myself out, once I've gotten my ducks in a row, that's when I'll take seriously this idea of getting into a relationship, getting married. Because that's my end goal, right? Just to get married. It's not necessarily just to get into these random relationships, and you're having sex, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're having fun, it's nice, you feel good. When Valentine's Day comes around, you got a date, it's cute, But it's like, where are y'all going? What's the mission? Like, what's the objective? Yeah, I don't want to be in one of those relationships. And a lot of girls are stuck in those sort of relationships with guys that aren't serious. And it's not really clear where things are going. And so they're left feeling kind of insecure. And it's, time stretches on. Now you're in your 30s. He still hasn't proposed. Like what's going on? Bro, what's your plan? Some guys don't like that pressure. So for me, I'm like, okay. I never want to be a girl in that position. So I think it's just the responsible thing to do, to just keep to myself and figure myself out. I think it's a beautiful thing. When a girl does take that chance on you, when she does take that risk, and it pays off, I think that's so beautiful, right? And you can only hope for something like that, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's just, you have to be practical. We're not doing charity work here, we're trying, because it's like, there are many cases where a girl does take that bet and it doesn't pay off, like, she made a mistake. And no one wants to be in that position either. No one wants to be in that position. So I'm just thinking about, okay, like, I have to really have a lot of faith in my current situation and trust that things will somehow, some way work out. I'm writing this book, and if you just look at it from a purely practical point of view, realistic expectations for performance, if you're lucky, a few hundred people buy the book. A few hundred. So that's far from making a splash. But there's a big part of me that's hoping for more, that somehow, some way, it surprises me in terms of performance. That's why I'm trying to make it as good as I can make it, so that it makes a significant impression on people. And people share it, and somehow, it's just the awareness spreads of the story I've written. I've spent so much time writing, and it turns into something significant. That would like take a lot of weight off my shoulders, because it's like you're just thinking about how to make it in life. Like, what am I going to be? I don't know what I want to be, but what am I actually going to be is the question. And I think that you have to have a lot of like mental resilience, because it's a mental game, man. It's very easy. I think it would be very easy for me to fall into like depression and then like crippling anxiety and whatnot if I really took stock of like how precarious my situation is. I have the benefit of being young and having a mother who supports me and is patient and is not rushing me. You need to do this, you need to get this job, you need to do this. Because, a lot of people are in situations where you get kicked out of the house, or you're forced to work, so you don't have as much time to focus on your passions and all these sort of things. A lot of people are stuck in those situations. So I'm grateful. But time is ticking. I'm 25. I'm gonna be 30 in 5 years, which is crazy to think about. It's wild. I hope I'm married by then. Oh my gosh. We'll see. But yeah, if something could happen to validate this path I've chosen, I'd be very happy about that. Like, something just pops off and I just start making sort of money that can then allow me to relax a little bit and be like, okay, I'm doing good, I'm making a living, I'm making adult money. That'd be great. But throughout all this, patience is key, persistence is key, consistency is key. Showing up, building a relationship with y'all. I'm relying on the people who support me, and relying on the people who might buy my book and all these sort of things. And I'm very appreciative, by the way, of the people that continue to watch these videos. I have the sort of personality that's almost like take it or leave it. And I try my best to tone it down sometimes. But yeah, I think there's just certain aspects of my character, my personality that I definitely think rubs people the wrong way. So I'm always appreciative of people who stick around regardless. It means a lot, it really does. Because I'm stuck with myself. I really can't be anyone else, So I don't think it's something I can change necessarily. It's just there are aspects of myself I can work on for sure, and I am trying to work on that in certain parts of myself. Like one thing I'm trying to do less of is get into arguments in the comment section. I have to do that a lot. And I realize it's not fruitful, and sometimes you end up saying things that might not have been the best thing to say at the time. I remember I'd gotten into some hot water because I made some comments about some social issue, and then the community tab I post a lot on there, so I said something on there, and someone had posted some comments, some snarky comment, and then I replied. I don't want to use the word because I'm very paranoid about this YouTube algorithm, because I feel like sometimes when I use bad words or something, it might affect video performance or something. I don't know. Some people do say that that's a thing, because I always see people censoring themselves because apparently YouTube picks up on this, and it might not demonetize you, but it might suggest your videos less. Because I can be quite unfiltered, so I might say things and then thinking it's not a big deal, but it could actually affect my videos. So I'm gonna try going forward to be more mindful of the words I use, just because YouTube might pick up on that and be like, I'm gonna limit your videos. But then it's annoying because I don't really, I want to be free to just talk. So when I'm censoring myself, it's just so annoying, bro. I don't know. Am I gonna play the game? I don't want to play the game, I'll be honest. But anyway, so someone had commented on my community tab, and because I'd said something, and people, like, there was a whole bunch of comments under that post where people were upset, but there was a particular comment where I called someone a pussy. And I remember, like, what was it, a Tony Trigger? I think I'd done a collab with Tony Triggers. So someone had commented under Tony Triggers' video like, you shouldn't collab with Janice because one time he called someone a pussy. And I was just laughing to myself. It was so long ago. I think this is like more than a year ago. It might have been, I don't know when this happened. But it is clearly very upsetting for some people. So I call this individual a pussy. But stuff like that, maybe I should tone it down. Maybe I should relax. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. So, I appreciate the people that continue to rock with me despite my more abrasive qualities. I am trying to tone it down. I think it would be just good to have less controversy. I think that would be healthy for me, healthy for my mind, healthy for my channel. So I am trying to work on that. So yeah, I just want to be. I read a Bible scripture that said, "Be quick to listen and slow to speak." So I think I can definitely learn from that and just be like, okay, let me be very mindful of what I say, not say anything unnecessary that gets me into hot water unnecessarily, regardless of what I believe. You know, you don't always have to share everything. You don't always have to say everything that's on your mind. It's okay to hold certain beliefs, but you know, you have to be prudent about what you share and when you share it. So I'm trying to be better at that for sure. It's just that the way I am, I tend to just be very vocal about what I'm feeling. So it can be hard sometimes, man. But anyway, I say all that to say I'm so very much appreciative of the people that stick around despite all that. It means a lot, it really does. And I'm hoping it pays off, man. I'm hoping we get to see this channel grow and all these other things that I'm doing. More than an ASMR artist, I want to be a novelist. I want to make money off of being a novelist. That doesn't mean this channel is like unimportant or anything. The channel definitely is important. It's an expression of myself. I just don't want to be tied to like just this, because I just feel like the first thing I ever wanted to be was a novelist. Like that's the first thing I remember, like being like, whoa, I want to be this when I grow up. And that was from pretty early on. I was a kid, I was young. I don't know how long I was really held on to this, but I just remember being like 7, 8, I don't know. I think I was 6 years old when I realized I had a talent, and that's because I had a teacher in primary school, grade 1, and we had like a creative writing assignment in our class. So I'd written some short story, and she marked it. I just remember her laughing out loud while she was reading it and having so much fun reading it. I think it was about a haunted house, my short story. And she just gave it great marks, and she said, you need to go read this in the school hall. There was some sort of event where people from different schools were coming, like kids from different schools were coming and reading their short stories in front of an audience. So she told me, like, you go and take your story and you go and read it in front of an audience. So I did that, and people enjoyed it, and it was cool. And that moment really just made me go, maybe I have something here. So from that point onwards, I was like, yep, writing is my thing. I knew I was good at writing, so I was like, okay. But I'm not sure when I decided I want to become a writer as a profession. I'm not sure when that came in. Regardless, that was the first thing I ever wanted to be. So I have to realize that dream, man. So I'm really hoping I do. And I'm grateful for this channel because I feel like it can help me get there for sure. Because one thing I always worried about, I'm not good at social media, I'm not good at marketing and all these sort of things. And you know, when you write a book, the biggest hurdle you face isn't writing the book, it's the marketing aspect. Because you can write a book and then release it into a void and no one ever reads it, right? Because marketing is such a big part of the process. Unfortunately, it's like, you know, the trope of a starving artist. You know, artists who became popular after they died, their work went unappreciated. So it's like the marketing aspect is huge. So one thing I was worried about is, I think I write this book, then what? Like, how do I get published? How do I get it in front of people? All these sort of things. For me, self-publishing is the route I've chosen. I'm not really gonna try and approach some traditional publishing house and try to get my book published that way. I feel like that would strip me of a lot of freedom, and And I don't like working under some of these constraints because you have to make a whole lot of considerations that you wouldn't have to make if you're just publishing yourself. So what this channel has given me the hope of achieving is building an audience, and then they support me no matter what I'm doing, right? And I just get to be myself. I don't have to necessarily play the game of checking boxes for some publishing house. Even if I wanted to do that, it's not easy. It's very difficult to get published, whether you're talking about traditionally or publishing yourself. So it doesn't matter which path you choose, it's always going to be difficult. I think self-publishing has its own challenges, but I think traditional publishing has its challenges as well. Because it's not just your preferences you have to take into account, now it's the preferences of the people that are funding you, which to me is very unappealing. I'm just like, nah, I want to do me. But anyway, we'll see how this self-publishing thing works out. I hope this channel helps me. I hope it helps me. And yeah, man, I hope that things work out in terms of finances so that I can support family. That would be so beautiful, man. Oh, I'd be so happy if I can work that out. You know, I was asking ChatGPT about this. I ask it all these sort of hypothetical questions, like how do I market my book, and what are the odds of it performing well, and yada yada yada. I've got a channel with 19,700 subscribers, like how can I make the most use of them, all these sort of things. One thing ChatGPT said was that if you have 1,000, this is not, it's, so someone else had actually said, I can't remember who said this, but I remember someone else saying this, but it was basically saying to me, like, if you can get like 1,000 loyal people to support like any of your endeavors, so let's say 1,000 people contribute the equivalent of, so each of those 1,000 people contribute the equivalent of $100 to whatever you've got going on every year. That's $100,000 per year. So if you've got products lined up or whatever, and you're marketing this to your audience of 1,000 people, and the total purchases by the end of the year amounts to $100, and 1,000 people give you $100 each year, that's $100,000 per year, which is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's enough to live comfortably and have a decent life. My ambitions do extend far beyond that, but you know, it's like what matters most to me is having a family. So you know, that outcome I think is doable, right? I think that's very doable over time if you build enough trust and you build enough compelling offerings so that people feel good about contributing. Because $100 per year, it's not a small ask. Because $100 doesn't matter whether it's given over a year or given over a day, it's still a lot of money. So you have to earn it. You have to feel good about contributing that much to you. So it's like, what can I give to warrant that amount of spending? So yeah, man, I'm gonna write these books. If the books do well enough, I can start creating merch for the books. If the channel does well enough, I can create merch for the channel. Over time, I can just create a brand that can be profitable and get me to that $100,000 per year mark, which I think is more than enough to live that family life. $100,000 per year is a lot of money. I think that's more than, that's definitely more than enough to be comfortable and just be a normal family man. If I was earning $50,000 a month, I could make it work. I could make that work for sure. Especially here in South Africa, where cost of living is a lot cheaper than like somewhere in like America, for example, or the UK. Although I don't know how we're living in South Africa for much longer. If I this so the moment I get the opportunity, I'll be, you might see me gone. Shout out to my South Africans, of course. SA is a beautiful country, and I think it has a lot to offer. But I'm definitely curious about other places. Every country has its issues, so I don't want to make it sound like South Africa is just this dump. It's not. I think the media tends to be unfair about a lot of places. You know, when you think about the Middle East, you think about war and chaos and there's bombs dropping everywhere. But the Middle East is actually full of a lot of wealth and nice places. You talk about the UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, a country like Oman, which I recently learned about. Qatar. There's some great places in the Middle East. Obviously, Asia is popping off. There's places in Africa that are great. People are saying Namibia is a very underrated country. Tanzania, which has Zanzibar as its gem. Kenya is getting more and more clout. A lot of people are moving to Kenya. The world is changing, man. There are a lot of places people are choosing to move to, and it's not the places you'd think. It's not the names you're used to hearing. You're used to hearing about America, you're used to hearing about the UK, you're used to hearing about France, you're used to hearing about Germany. But you'd be surprised where people are choosing to move to as the world is developing and people are becoming more and more connected. Some new players are entering the game. So, you know, I want to explore what's out there, man. I don't know if I want to be tied to one country, if I can help it. You're hearing about digital nomads and all these sort of different lifestyles that are emerging. People are just moving around so much. It's very compelling. Obviously, I want to be a family man, so you have to take that into account when you're moving around a lot. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, I'm not really. As I've really looked at different sorts of information and as I've learned more about different emerging countries, I've realized that, you know, this idea of this ultra nationalism where your country is the only country that matters, I don't want to buy into that. I don't want to get stuck in that train of thought. I really want to have a more holistic view of the world. I think a lot of countries have a lot of different things to offer people. So I'm just trying to develop, you know, a more broad perspective. I think traveling will definitely allow for that, which is why I want to leave South Africa when I get the chance. I want to explore South Africa as well. I don't think I've had an opportunity to really see everything this country has to offer. So maybe I'll do that before I think about taking off. But yeah, that 1,000 fans model, it's very compelling, man. I think I can do it. I think I can pull it off with enough effort and strategy. I think it's doable. 25 now. If I give myself 5 years to really build something meaningful and compelling, I think by the time I'm 30, I would have gotten there, right? But I am getting able to invest that much in me. I think it's very possible. I just need to be smart and patient. That being said, I am praying to the Lord God. Let me be honest with you guys. With this book I'm writing, I'm hoping it just blows up and charts and does all these crazy things, which is, we can acknowledge that that's a bit of a, you're asking for a lot. But you're allowed to dream. You're allowed to dream. You're allowed to dream. Like, every writer wishes that their books would just be the next Harry Potter or whatnot, right? So while I am preparing for the worst, I'm hoping for the best. While I am prepared for the book to sell 20 copies, I'm prepared for that. I'm hoping that it sells thousands and thousands of copies. It just goes viral somehow, some way, because I did such a good job of writing a good story. That's what I'm hoping I've done. And that it just spreads like wildfire. That's what I'm hoping for. Just full transparency. I'll be very excited if that happens. And I'll have you all to thank, because you supported me. Anywho, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd like to pray at the end of my video. So, dear Father God, I thank you for this individual watching this right now. Thank you for making the whole unique and guiding on a path towards peace, prosperity, and purpose. Thank you for blessing this person with wonderful people in their life who love them, take care of them, bring the absolute best out of them. And thank you for maintaining the ones that are there to do the same thing. Thank you for blessing this person with love and marriage and sustaining that love and marriage and making you very, very happy. Thank you for blessing this person with a spirit of gratitude so they can give thanks for all the wonderful things in their life. By giving thanks, they can find peace, contentment, and attract even more blessings. Let your presence be found in this person's life. So you know that your God, that your will, that your love, that your mercy be there for them. Good health, long life, and happiness over this person. I really care about you. My name, I pray in Jesus' name. I pray. Amen, amen, amen.